I only wish, when I was 21, I had the courage to take that challenge seriously, that I had the courage to believe I can and execute on that belief. I only wish, how would my life look then? The greatest regret in life won't be what you did, but what you didn't do when you could. I'm scared of this. I must take this challenge. In my 21 years on this earth, I have went through hell and through the heaven in the most direct way you can understand it. And this is the funny thing. I'm gonna record this video for the second time, and it's gonna be probably quite hard because this is raw video, this is quite emotional video, but let's do it. We don't give up on this side. But this video really, why you have to watch it is probably because at least the feedback I have received is my life as a 21-year-old, even though you don't know me, it has been quite like a movie with some crazy stories that most of the people, I don't know if they would really have the mentality just to go through a lot of darkness and a lot of light. And I'm filming this, I'm not expecting you to even care about this video. You shouldn't even. But fundamentally, I'm recording this to my future self because today, not today, but this month, I have taken the biggest challenge on my 21 years on this earth. And it's not the most glamorous, not the craziest challenge, but it's the most meaningful one. And it is hard, and it's quite big. And the challenge is to win the school games, which is the biggest paid community competition in the whole world. And I'm gonna want to go kind of separate this video in 3 parts, which is number 1, to give a context a little bit about my own story, because there you already gonna learn quite a lot of lessons. Then second, I'm gonna want to highlight why that goal is so important to reach after all I have went through in life. And lastly, a couple of lessons to take away, or lessons that I have embodied. Not just lessons that I have learned, but embodied. Not just the lessons that I have heard, but embodied. That's such a massive difference between just learning or hearing some kind of smart advice versus actually taking it in, feeling and acting based on that lesson. So let me start with kind of my story. It's gonna be quite longer one, but it's gonna be quite fun. I'm gonna give you a context. When I grew up without a father, which made quite decent change in the way or the direction in my life, which you're gonna learn later on of why. But the major thing that I at least remember, or that I talked with my mother, was when she gave me the chance to go to a ballroom classes when I was 4 years old. We didn't have much. I had one mother, 4 children, 1 room, the traditional basically story. But she gave me that chance. And at that moment, of course, I didn't know that that action from my mother would be the biggest probably shift in the whole life of mine, and be such a strong skeleton of a character that developed afterwards, or the foundation. And when I was 6 in the kindergarten, there was basically a competition. From 200 kids, from 4 kindergartens, only 2 would get the chance to go to professional dancing. I'm gonna skip you the part. I was one of the 2. I went professional dancing, but really fastly, my family, or my mother and we understood that, hey, like, if I really want to compete on a high professional level, it's just too expensive. And one day there was my trainer coming up to me. He was like really passionate, caring, because he saw something in me, as he said, as most of the trainers would say, but I knew he said what he meant. And he gave me two options. JJ, you either stop dancing and that's it, because simply you're gonna not be able to afford that. While on the other hand, you become national champion and you actually get sponsored and you can continue your ballroom dancing. And that's what I did. I don't know how did I consciously even made such a decision, but it probably was because of the condition of how I lived and where I lived, and I just wanted more from life. And yeah, before school, I went practicing. After the school, I run immediately to the training sessions, practice alone, put the hours in, and we had a seminar where basically there was one teacher and many dancers. And I was basically bullshitting at those lessons because I knew kind of the things that I needed to work on. And after the seminar ended, I worked on those. I had a couple of private lessons as well. Pushed the boundaries as much as I can because I knew, I don't know if I knew really, but I probably got that feeling that, hey, I have to do this. And there is also this interesting rhythm that I still can capture from the younger age. There was this magical rhythm between my personality or my soul and the act of dance. And what that allowed me to do is to go into my magic play. Something that people call passion. And that fundamentally, over the course of my life, I have learned that passion, a lot of people say, is bullshit, but it's so important because it's going to push you past the boundaries that nobody else, willing even with discipline, going to be able to push through. And you're going to be the last man or the last lady standing there. And yeah, fast forward, I trained my ass off. I won the championship, national, and I got sponsors. More specifically, I got a chance to meet a partner whose parents were financially stable and able to invest in me, which I'm grateful for, which is also one of the luck things that happens in life, because there are so many luck things that happen. One thing you can control is to attract the luck by actually putting the work in, showing up, and so on. But at the end of the day, a lot of situations in life, and you have to accept that, is pure luck. But you can be the one who attracts luck or increase the percentage of that, or the likelihood of that. And yeah, fast forward, I won a couple of other championships, and then there was this one day, which was European Championship, and I won that as well, and that's it. I left dancing, and the whole ballroom dancing industry was just in pure shock. This guy who is just competing, winning, is the future basically for the nation in this sport, is just quitting. That was just too much for me. All of a sudden, the rhythm, that magical rhythm between my soul and the act I was playing, which was dance, was lost. It was just too much. But one thing I took away from that was, once you become a champion, or once you taste the taste of champion's mentality, you don't want to go back. You want to win in anything you're doing. And then, after I left dancing, I was 14 when I won the championship, and for 6 months I was just fucking around, playing video games, doing basically what young kids are doing. And then it just sparkled back to me, hey, I want to go back to dancing. So I went. Again, everyone was shocked. But I got a partner in Italy. And I went to Italy, and in Italy, I stood upon this one video by Tony Robbins. I don't remember which video, but I know it was Tony Robbins. I remember even the room when I was sitting there. And at that moment, I didn't realize that, but subconsciously it opened me some kind of chakra or whatever is the name of it. And a few days later on, I just literally packed my bags and I called my mom, that's it. I am finished with dancing. I go back home. I basically went back into the dancing because for those 6 months prior, I didn't do enough of exploration. I didn't kind of find like, hey, what I want really to do. Of course, 14-year-old kid, it's really rare to find what you want to do. But it's kind of like a restaurant. The waiter asks you what's your favorite food in that specific restaurant. You're gonna not know the answer. You have to taste one food, second food, third food, fifth food, sixth, and then maybe the 11th is the one that you like. That's how we also in life, we have to just explore. We have to try things out. That's how we get to meet actually the things that we love ultimately. And after Italy, I went back to my country and I just went all in mode. Something just clicked. And I think subconsciously that it was also the Tony Robbins, because I started watching more and more of that. I started reselling, I went into factory job. I was just working my ass off to get some funds in. I was working the classical 16-hour shifts, even sometimes 18, sleeping in one bed, really small one. It's still funny, in a really small room, but it was really magical moment. I experienced for the first time what is like real labor, you know. But I didn't last there long, because every time when I was working in that factory, I would listen to these crazy podcasts, mainly of billionaires, of Tony Robbins more specifically also. And these guys just go crazy, all in. Like it seemed like the world is their oyster. The opportunities are everywhere. And I just couldn't sleep. I also wanted more. And I started going more into the reselling stuff. It started working, picking up. I quit my factory job after 4 weeks. It was quite fast. As you're gonna see throughout my life, I moved quite fast forward, which is also one of my mistakes. But yeah, and then at one moment I was like sitting like, wait a second, why other youngsters are not doing the same thing? There are so many opportunities they actually can provide for themselves. They can help their families. They can think bigger, feel better. Why nobody is doing this? And then I just picked out the camera and I did a challenge, how to turn basically $5 into $200, actually euros. And it picked up, but not on a massive scale. But I still started receiving all these messages, people trying the challenge and so on. It was just like, wow. It just feels great. Fundamentally, like, it's for the even most egoistic person in the earth. Helping somebody, seeing how you change their life, it just transforms you. It just purely transforms you. And I like that feeling. And I decided just to share more what's in my mind. And there was this one incident where I really like this one lady, but unfortunately she didn't like me that much back, or maybe I wasn't just enough patient, because I was always shooting the shots directly, basically. But it really was painful, and I shared that again. I took out my phone without even idea I'm gonna share that on social media. I filmed it. It was just pure raw video of human being human. Not what you see on social media, but a human being human, showing their real emotions, what they're feeling. And I was like, fuck it. I posted on social media. I had tears in my eyes, both in the video, after the video, because that was painful that she rejected me. And that's it. The video just took off in my country. And to give you an idea, Latvia, which is my country, the population of that is 1 million. And the video got afterwards 5,000 saves, a little bit more, and a little bit more than 10,000 shares, which is huge. It's like the whole country knew about that. Even like, besides the youngsters, even the parents were showing it as an example on how to look at the word relationship at a young age and the word love. And I started pushing out more content, just what's in my head, and gained this massive audience. I haven't seen such a loyal audience anywhere in the world. It's like every single person I even felt is special. Hundreds of messages just every single day sharing their problems. If I went to a party, there was one even party, people just lining up in a line to just get an advice or speak with me. It was hilarious, but I took it for granted, which you're gonna learn in later minutes. But I became this golden boy of the country. I built a team of 12 smartest kids across the country. We had a contest where all the Latvian youngsters, they needed to go through 3 steps to qualify and enter the last stage, which was our room for the qualification process to get in that team. And in that room, everyone needed to pitch why they are worthy to become part of this team, because the mission was serious, and the mission was just to give opportunities to Latvian people, to these youngsters, because I know I was in their shoes and I know what's possible. They just have to get that taste of it. And we hosted seminars, we connected some of the smartest minds across Latvia to the youngsters, we went to the schools. In the schools, kids even made presentations about us. It was like a movie looking back, because I was only 16 at that age. Then was a twist moment where, which really changed the whole direction and character for myself, where I got presented, and again, I did not put any ownership or responsibility or on anyone. It's my pure mistake. But I got presented with an opportunity which was in a financial market, which involved me to be the advertiser of it, owning a part of it, and sharing that to the audience. And in that way, basically monetizing my audience. And it went big, because the audience was loyal, like everything that I shared actually helped people, changed people's lives, even until this day. Like some of the top guys, top guns in specific industries, they are the top guns who are coming from that circle. It changed like fundamentally the structure. I just solved that after having thousands of conversations with teenagers. It just changed the whole movement thinking of Latvians. It's like crazy to actually experience that. And I monetized it. For 2 months it went good. Then I screwed up. And guess what happens next? The whole country just hates me, wants me literally dead. My mom receiving dead letters where people want me literally killed. Because that product, to give you more context, it was in a financial market, basically more an investment opportunity. I monetized it to my audience, and of course a lot of people just lost a lot of money. That's just the truth. And I was the face of it. And that moment, I remember still this one morning, I wake up, there are thousands of stories of just how bad of a person I am, that I have to be dead. There was even a documentary. It was, at that moment, I just lost everything. I failed my family, I failed my friends, I failed my team, and I failed my whole country. A one man's decision can change the direction of the country, in my opinion. And it did. At that moment, it's still really painful. It's a big hole in my past. But it changed completely me. I went to my grandmother, and yeah, in the first day I just went to the forest and I did the craziest thing you can imagine. The last thing you would need to do. Of course, I'm sitting here. I'm not dead. But it was a really dark moment for like 3-4 months. Really dark moment, losing out. Being the golden boy of the country, becoming the most hated person. If I went out, I would get punched in the face. If my sisters even, my sister or my brothers would go to the school, they would get approached. Like it was really bad. It's like where you don't want to live. Most of the teenagers at 16 years old wouldn't handle such pressure. I even lost it. I became really cold. I didn't trust anyone. I was just kind of all in by myself and within, and that's it. Yes, I picked up a couple of things. I slowly started repaying just it back from my own money, taking care of that. And the next years, really, until the age of 21, like I am right now, where I was fucking around. If I'm just straightforward, I was fucking around because there was this hole, this pain. And it lasted for 5 years. It still lasts. But that's one of the reasons why I have to achieve my target, the new target as a leader. But I'm going to talk about later about that. But fast forward, still there was a few actions in between those years. He even actually did quite a lot of phenomenal things. The next year, at the age of 17, I didn't know any English. I couldn't speak English. I didn't know anything about marketing, sales. And I get hired by this guy in e-commerce, who is actually the guy right now looking back. And he gives me a task, or actually for me and my team as well. And he basically sets this crazy revenue goal we have to reach basically in 45 days. We didn't have any idea, any experience on how to achieve that. But fast forward, after those 45 days, we managed to get 250,000 USD in revenue for brand new brand without knowing anything. But those 45 days were really interesting because I again became so obsessed with just the craft. That magic play, that soul and act combination just goes into your magic play. And I slept in the office. I went and did whatever I needed to do. Plus I had massive pain in the background, which was from the previous year. And in the middle of those 45 days, I was in the hospital. I'm gonna not go into that story, but I just overworked, and I needed to be there for 14 days. I negotiated somehow. Just in 3 days, they released me. I went back to the office. I went back to my team, and I just knew I have to get this done. I have to reach, no matter what is the cost. I have to find a way, even though I don't know anything about this. I just have to achieve that goal. And fast forward again, we reached the goal. We exceeded the goal, and we built a lot of things that didn't exist in that moment in e-commerce. And one of those things was, those who are in marketing, you can understand this language, but we built a team of 200 prospectors in 15 days that sent out messages on Instagram basically for us when it was still easy to get sales in. So we built these crazy teams. We learned about all these automations, growth hacking, how to acquire sales and things like that. It was just pure magic actually looking back. But yeah, at one moment we had to say goodbye. We got an opportunity to go to Bali, pursue our future forward. And still, if I would go in my full story, like, I'm actually like consciously looking at it, the details of the story. It's literally like a movie. I'm really generalizing right now. But there was even one part how we met with my partner, one of the most influential people in the whole world, just super connector, and he's still right now more as a mentor, as a father figure till this day. But yeah, we did also scale our agency when I was 19 years old. We scaled it to almost 6-figure months, which is basically 7-figure business at 19 years old. Like, whenever I touched something, I just went all in. However, it always broke down after that incident that I had at 16 years old. Always scaled up and then broke down. Always scaled up and then broke down. And at one moment, it was just like, shit. Can I actually do something properly? I was so disappointed in me. And partially it was because I was not conscious or aware that most of my skill sets, they were really in marketing and sales. Although the businesses we were building really heavily focused on the product operations, things like that. And even in that agency that we scaled to 7-figure year almost, even there we made a lot of clients disappointed. It was like really bad. I just didn't learn from my lessons. And then fast forward for the next years, I was just like, we split up with our partner, or for the past year, more specifically speaking. I was, making some decent money, still being top 1% of my age, but financially. But at the same moment, it was not it. I like knew I could do so much more, and all of us, we have this kind of feeling. But for me, it's like really fucking intense. And whenever I went to sleep, I had all these demons. I couldn't date women. I was again like in that darkness, that path of misery, questioning why I'm even on this earth. And recently, I just stood upon like really important thing, which is I have to just get my shit together for my people. And I have to prove to myself that, hey, I can actually set my mind to something and I can actually reach it. And that leads me to my goal, explanation, and what it means to me. Now that you have a context, generally, you kind of understand what I have went through. But for me, winning at school games in the next following, or this month, or next month, it means a lot. It's something really emotional, something personal. Because I feel like, not like I'm gonna heal that scratch, that hole that I developed over the years, just fucking around, and bottom line, at 16 years old, screwing up so badly. But it would allow me to just overcome and not live in the past, but move into the future. Or not operate from the past, but lead with the future, more specifically. It would just prove myself that I'm intelligent enough to get what I want. Because the most intelligent people are the ones that get what they want in life. And that's why for me to reach that goal personally is so important. But most importantly, what drives me is shit. My mother, my family. Like, yes, I'm still providing them something, but it's not at the level they deserve. Like, I already needed to be so many different levels beyond where I am right now. If I wouldn't fuck around. If I would actually do what I said I was gonna do. And just for my mother, because at the end of the day, the age that they have right now, it's only gonna go up. It's gonna not go down. Time is going tick, tick, tick. It doesn't stop. It doesn't go back. The same for my brothers. I want to make sure that they get an environment where their zone of genius or their potential is supported and evolving. Because again, their age, being so young, being 12, being 16, and sister being 11 right now, they're gonna not get younger. And those ages are so important because I remember those ages transformed the direction of my life and put a lot of skeleton or foundation for how I'm gonna see the world in the future. It's not about me even. It's about others.